Okay, so sex drive. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what I personally use, but also what I've seen success with, what I use specifically in the porn industry to do scenes. This is something that I've researched for a while, and you know what? I already had a high sex drive before I got into porn, but I wanted to make it better. I wanted to enhance things. And what I found wasn't, it didn't come with side effects. It didn't come with anything like, oh, this is going to ruin you for months. That wasn't the case. But I'm just going to make this like really short. So usually I like to make my videos a little bit longer, but I'm just going to break it down for you. So number one is testosterone. So you don't have to be using testosterone if your testosterone levels are adequate. But if they are not, you probably will have sexual problems if you have, for example, low testosterone. So once we fix the low testosterone problem, your estrogen after taking testosterone is going to be the next most important number. Now, me personally, I like my ultra sensitive estrogen to be at anywhere from 70 to 85 max. If it's any higher than that or lower than that, the sensitivity of the sex drive is off. So the sensitivity is like, for me, the only problem that I've ever had with anything sexual, I've never had erectile dysfunction. I've never had anything serious. The worst thing that could happen is the sensitivity is not as good. And sometimes it'll be like, it'll take forever to come. If the sensitivity is right for me, if I got things nailed and my estrogen is around that range, where my body prefers to keep it at, then it's very easy for me to come. And jerking off or having sex, both will feel a lot better. And it's like, you feel it. If you can't feel it, I fucking hate that problem. There's a couple things you can do. One would be obviously get your ultra sensitive estrogen tested and see what that number is. You'll have to play with that. You'll have to experiment with that on different doses of testosterone, or if, let's say, your testosterone dose is really high, and you're not taking an AI, the next best thing would be to just take a tiny, tiny bit of equipoise to lower the estrogen very slightly. But the amount of equipoise that I use to get my estrogen in the perfect range of what my body likes to be at would be like 3 or 4 drops of equipoise a day, which is only like 5 milligrams of equipoise. So it's not that much. And you can crush your estrogen if you overdo this. So be careful if you're doing that. But if you're using enough testosterone, you've got bodybuilding goals or so on, that would be the appropriate thing to do. So once that's figured out, that is pretty much the main thing that controls sex drive is the estrogen number, for sensitivity at least. Now, DHT can also play into that. Like, if you use Masteron, for me at least, my DHT levels do go up. Although testosterone does convert into DHT, some people don't convert as much DHT. But keep in mind, if your DHT is too high and your estrogen is too high, you will probably lose your hair. So keep that in mind. But using Masteron, I find that it does improve the sensitivity of my sex drive, but only at the right dose. It's easy to overdo. From what I found, like 30 milligrams a day of Masteron added to the testosterone would be a good add-on for sexual benefits. What else? HCG. So HCG is kind of weird. I'm not really sure if it's the elevated estrogen, because it does increase estrogen by a lot. So you do have to be careful with using HCG if you're using testosterone. But you could use it alone if you're not using testosterone. HCG would make you not natural though, because it does slightly increase your testosterone levels. But from what I found, it gives me like maybe an extra 20 to 30 points on my estrogen number if I use it twice or 3 times a week at like around 500 IUs of HCG. Again, that's going to be very, very individual, but you can mess around with the HCG dose. HCG, the sensitivity on it is way higher. Like, you can come a lot more and you can come a lot easier. The next thing would be Melanotan 2, which if your estrogen's not in the right range, then this will not work. But if your estrogen is in the right range and you want your sex drive to be just out of this world, Melanotan 2 is like no other, especially when it's combined with HCG. Melanotan 2 just makes the stimulation in your brain like really high. It doesn't change your hormones, so you don't have to worry about that. But I find the lowest dose, like 100 micrograms, gives me asexual benefit for about 24 hours. I do like to use Melanotan 2 pretty much every day. Right now I'm using like 200, maybe 250 micrograms. 250 is enough to make you nauseous, but I do want to be tan, so Melanotan 2 is the best for that. But the reason I started using it initially 6 years ago was for the sexual benefits. Nothing really compares to Melanotan 2. So another thing that you could try that I've kind of had success with, it's kind of a hit or miss, only if you take a high dose. So there's a nasal spray you can get. It's called C-Max with an S. C-Max is a brain stimulant. It was meant to replace Adderall, although it doesn't last anywhere close to as long as Adderall does. If you take like 1 to 2 milligrams of it, which is kind of a high dose, you will get a benefit from it. And some of that benefit might be a sexual benefit. I noticed that my sex drive is a little bit higher with it. Other things, Cialis, I like to use like 5 milligrams a day just for blood flow, but it is also a dick pill. So I don't like Viagra. Viagra, I feel like I'm having a heart attack, so I'll never use that again. But Cialis, I don't have that issue at all. Anyways, hope this video was helpful. Hope it was sexually inspiring. And as always, reach out to me for coaching. Book a call with me. Link is in the description of this video.